For most of us, most of the time, we are operating by default. We're following a sort of patterns without really thinking. Everything from when we go to bed to when we wake up to what we do in the first thing in the morning to how we talk to our partner to how we talk to our family. A lot of these things that are happening in our life are just simply automatic. We're just used to them. We're operating on autopilot. And so how do we interrupt a pattern? I consider the idea that most people who follow me are interested in interrupting some pattern in your life. You're looking to make a difference in something that isn't working for you or that you don't like or that you want to see change. Well, the biggest challenge in that is often we're unaware of those automatic patterns that are happening in our life. And so what does it take to interrupt those patterns if we're so used to them and they're happening so automatically? Well, I go with the mentality that we will keep doing something that doesn't work for us until we're present to the cost of that behavior continuing. But most of us aren't present to the cost. And by the way, feel free to write some questions in the comments. I'm going to do some sharing and then I'll go into some answering of some questions. So if we keep doing something that we don't like, maybe it's a job we don't like, maybe it's a marriage that we're tired of, maybe it's the same kind of people we keep dating. Well, why do we keep doing that? We know we don't like it. We know it doesn't work for us. I believe we keep doing it because we're not present to what it's costing us. I was just having a great call with my Love Over Fear team. We have a team of people. If you ever have a discovery call with us, you won't be doing it directly with me. You do it with one of my team members so that I can focus on coaching, content, and of course my family. And those great team members of mine, we were talking about, okay, what is it that has people have the courage to interrupt what doesn't work for them? And what it typically is they realize that this thing sucks so much. But the other thing that of stepping into something new like coaching or a breakup or a breakthrough, that's always going to be scary. I think this is the myth a lot of us walk around. Taking a new step is always going to be scary. And even though something over here sucks really bad, we'll often keep up that thing because it doesn't suck bad enough compared to the fear of something new. And so I was giving them the example. I get to talk to all of you guys now because you resonate with my content, but that only happens because I've posted a new piece of content every single day for more than a year, from a number of years actually. But the last year I really took it on all the way. And why did I take it on all the way? Why did I interrupt that and start a new behavior? Well, because I was talking to a fellow coach friend and they said to me, you're scared to put out new content, right? You're scared to put yourself out there in new ways. It's like, yeah, I'm worried about how I might look. I'm worried if I put it out there, no one cares. I don't want to feel that rejection or sense of what I'm doing doesn't matter, like all of us. And she said to me, by you not posting that, someone is stuck in a marriage that is so painful for them, that is a source of their depression. And by you not getting present to your content, there are people waiting to work with you. There's people waiting to meet you, and they don't get to. They are stuck. Maybe they don't even get to have a family because you're scared of how you might look on your content. And I was like, holy shit. This is way too important. This is way too important to just be messing around with. And so then I committed myself every single day, brand new piece of content for a year. And lo and behold, I went from 18,000 followers to 125,000 followers as of today. Now, it's not about the follower amount. That can be ego stuff. It's about the fact that we only get to talk to each other because I saw, thanks to this coach friend of mine, that this is too important. My own fear of looking bad or embarrassing myself was getting in the way of something so important. And so what I'm looking to do with all my content, this conversation with you right now, is to get to look at where am I not present to the cost of this repeated behavior? Is it way bigger than I think it is? The way I'm operating my relationships, what if I keep operating that way for the next 10 years? What's the predictable future? Does that predictable future scare the hell out of me? If it does, you're going to take a new action. If it doesn't, don't expect anything else to change. And so part of the best thing that can happen to all of us is that we get fed up. Getting fed up with something, getting so tired of it is often what's required for us to make that big shift. And so I want to stay here and I want to answer some questions from you guys. So feel free to write any questions in the chat. And if you want to share, what are you fed up with? I invite you to share in the chat. What are you fed up with? What are you tired of? What are you like, I'm sick of that and I don't want to do it anymore? Looking at a comment here. Just want to tell you that I've just gone through a breakup and your content has been immensely helpful for me to reflect and learn where I went wrong. I'm so happy to hear that. Again, this is what I'm talking about, right? Like, I don't know you. We've never met. But here I was, a couple years ago going like, what if they don't like it? What if I look bad? What if no one cares? What if I say the wrong thing? It's like, well, then you wouldn't get that result. And it's like, this is too important. It's too important for me to be in my own way. And that's the goal with everything I'm doing with you guys here, with all of my content, with my coaching, is to get us present to like, your life matters. Your relationships matter so much. They matter too much for us to be just messing around here. For us to be careless about it, for us to be nonchalant about it. It's one thing to be relaxed and light. It's another thing to be almost ignorant and numb. And I want to push people away from numb, that's for sure. Someone asking a question. I just blindsided called out a girl for distancing herself, and now we aren't even talking, but I felt like she really liked me. We got along so well and just clicked. Did I fuck it up? I don't know. I wouldn't say you fucked it up, but I would look at like, okay, were you operating when you called her out? Were you operating from a place of love? Was it from a place of genuine, like I'm intending to, create a behavior that works? Or was it kind of from a place of fear and control? That's where we want to look. Because a lot of the actions we take aren't necessarily the great actions to take, but the place that we're taking them from makes a huge difference. If, for example, if I'm talking to you guys right now on this live and I'm like, I'm just going to say the right thing so that hopefully they like me and then want to sign up for my coaching program. That is inauthentic, ingenuine, and just garbage. It's not going to work. But if I'm saying all the same things like I'm saying right now, I'm in this conversation to give people the opportunity to share what they're fed up with, to help them get more connected to what really matters to them. It's like, that's going to land in a different kind of way. So one of the best things we can do whenever we're looking to interrupt our behavior or someone else's is, where are we coming from with it? And the challenge with that, and this is why I have a coach and why I invite people to do coaching, it's often hard to see what's really underneath that. We might think it's one thing and it turns out, oh, wait a second, yeah, I was just trying to fix that person. Or, oh, wait a second, I thought I was being generous, but it was actually being controlling. It's like, it wasn't so obvious, kind of camouflage behind some things at first. So thank you for the question. I tried so hard to love, but couldn't get blood from a stone. So this is coaching for you. It's not about them. You guys, I'm always about coming back here. Always about coming back here. That's why I want to break the myths of all these bullshit gurus online that go, he should this and she should that. It's like, that's such a useless, powerless way to look at life. If you tried so hard to love but couldn't get blood from a stone, my question to you is, what are you doing trying to get blood from a stone? I would look there. I would look at why am I focusing so hard on this one individual? What is it that I'm actually doing here as a way of distracting myself from being big in another way? It doesn't have to be hard, you guys. It doesn't have to be that hard. So what am I doing to cause it to be hard? My first thought goes, if you're trying to get blood from a stone, you're probably attached to this person, and there's something you get out of this challenge. There's something you're looking for. There's some sort of value that you're trying to get out of this challenge, rather than letting it be easy for you. That's a place to look. Next question. Do you think that couples therapy works for everyone? I'm in a long-distance relationship. My partner's finding it really difficult. No, I wouldn't say couples therapy works for everyone. I wouldn't say anything works for everyone. I think what's so important when doing things like couples therapy is that both partners are bought in. If you're trying to get him to do it or get her to do it, it's going to feel like pressure, and then it's going to be discouraging. But if you can come at it with this open mind, then it can be extraordinarily valuable. I'm in the process of creating a new program, by the way. Very excited about this in the fall. It's going to be called How to Fight. I want to teach people how to fight, because most people don't know how to fight and they end up just disrespecting and hurting each other. Fighting is part of every relationship, but it doesn't have to be leaving us with this sense of despair and disconnection. They can actually connect us. So, next person, I'm fed up and rushing into things. I would love my next partner to be my best friend, my friend first. Amazing. Great. Well, you've got your intention right there. You're fed up of rushing into things. Good. You're recognizing the pattern that doesn't work for you and is leading the same thing over and over again. That's awesome. And you want your next person to be your friend. So you're creating this intention of taking your time. Fantastic. Amazing. Oh, thank you, brother. James Sharon, I found my life partner because of you. I had the privilege of coaching his now life partner, and they met. And I share about your success story all the time, Mr. Morrissey. It's very cool to see you guys sharing your love with each other, and both of you. You know, I've heard so many amazing things from her and from you about the ways you guys have worked together to commit to each other and support each other and love each other. It is why I do this work. So thank you both for being such an amazing success story. The cat laugh. Oh, is my cat in the background? Yeah. I've got 9 pets. So you've only seen a couple of them probably. Let's see here. I told the guy I really care about that his lack of responses to my texts hurt my feelings. It was hard for me to be that vulnerable. Was that a mistake? I'm not sure if he's acting weird since then. Okay, so love this question. You shared something that was difficult for you, and you were being vulnerable. That took courage. That's a win. The challenge where we make it not a win is how someone responds to your vulnerability. And this is a huge part of coaching. Your practice is to be proud of yourself for your courage, for your vulnerability, and not let someone else's response to it diminish that courage. I know you wanted them to respond in a certain way. You wanted them to hear you and see your vulnerability and come together, and they didn't. Just because they didn't doesn't mean that wasn't absolutely the thing to do. Your work here is to be able to be with that, to not diminish your courage, to not make it wrong, to not try to control what they're doing, and to sit in that. Because what you're just getting attached to right now is their reaction to it. And that's not what this is about. This is about you being able to be yourself, and you're in all your rawness. You know, I say this often in coaching. I say, your job is not to get people to like you. Your job is to be you and see who likes it. It's one of the hardest things to do in life, is to actually just be ourselves. And so when you're being vulnerable, when you say you're being vulnerable, what I'm hearing is you're being yourself. You're telling the truth. That's amazing. Don't let anyone's reaction to that diminish the incredible value of that. That's your work right now. I didn't even notice my cat, but I'm seeing you guys comment on the cat in the background. Bianca, I'm fed up with my situationship and always wishing one day we'll be in a relationship but never getting there. It's been a year now and still nothing. I tried to end things, but I went back. Okay, great. So how fed up are you? That's my question to you, Bianca. How fed up are you? Okay, it's been a year. I know people that have been in situationships for 4 years, for 10 years, for 15 years. And before you know it, you're in that situation where you're back in the dating market a decade or two later. Get present to the cost of this. You're allowed to care and love this person deeply while also not tolerating a situationship. Both things can be true. One of the best things we can do to create possibilities for ourselves is to offer that 2 things can be true. That you can care deeply about this person while simultaneously not being okay with the dynamic of the relationship. I invite you to ask, why did you go back? Where did you start to sell out on yourself? This is where we all want to look, all of us, you guys. Where are we selling out on ourselves? Where are we pretending to like something that we don't? Where are we pretending to be that we're smaller than we are? My cat's being so noisy. She's jealous of you guys getting my attention. So that's my invitation for you. Thank you for the question. Malik, I'm fed up of letting my trauma leading. Sorry, I don't know, the language is a bit off there. Bringing up my past hurts. It cost me a relationship, and it feels though my current lowest point. More than anything, I just want forgiveness. Okay, you want forgiveness. So maybe you want forgiveness from another person. Okay, your freedom. I know, I get that. That's a beautiful desire. I've wanted that from people in my life. I just want to be forgiven. Can you just forgive me? If you let your freedom be on the other side of someone else's forgiving you, there's a lot of power giving away there. There's a lot of power you're giving away. So let's go back to the two things can be true at once. You can be free while also not receiving their forgiveness. So I invite you to look at, what are you assuming would happen if they forgive you? What is the kind of like label you're putting on them that serves as your green light to be forgiven? What are you giving away to them? It's kind of like, I can only apologize so many times. If I did something to harm you or hurt you, I'm going to get present to the impact of that. I'm going to start to look at, okay, where did I go that may have caused or influenced your pain? I'm going to acknowledge that. I'm going to present to it. I'm going to apologize for it. But that's where it's going to stop. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm not going to guilt trip myself. That's not serving anybody. So if you're guilt tripping yourself about this, that doesn't help anyone. That doesn't make the situation better. That doesn't change anything. If anything, that diminishes the beautiful nature of who you are while you're guilt tripping yourself, while you're being hard on yourself like that. You can apologize and you can care about what happened and want things to be different while also not being hard on yourself for it. Forgive yourself first. That's my invitation for you. Part of why we don't forgive ourselves is we think if we forgive ourselves, it condones behavior. It doesn't, you guys. It's one of the biggest myths about forgiveness, is this idea that if I forgive you, I'm saying what you did is okay. If I forgive you, I'm saying I'm no longer going to let this thing hurt me and control my life. I'm done with it. Yeah, I didn't like it. I wish it didn't happen. But I'm done holding it against you. I'm done holding it against me. It's too tiring. I'm fed up with that. To me, not forgiving yourself or someone else is like drinking the poison and waiting for someone else to die. You not forgiving is you drinking the poison. So that'd be my invitation for you. It's going to take courage. Like everything I'm talking about with you guys, it's going to take courage. African Samurai, cool name. I'm fed up with letting people disrespect my boundaries. All right, let's see. What would it look like? So I love what you said there. For a lot of us, we say things kind of in this broad context. It's a little bit broad there. I invite you to go a little more specific and say, okay, what would it look like to have respect for my boundaries? Paint that picture. What would people be saying? What would they be doing? What are the boundaries that I really want to see respected? How do I want to be treated? Write that out. Journal about it so you can really pinpoint, okay, this is the line for me. All right, and I'm not sorry. Hey, I love you. I might care about you. I might think you're fantastic, but guess what? This is the line for me. So if you want to be in my life, it's going to look like this. Would love to have you. Boundaries are a beautiful thing. They're an invitation towards connection. Would love to have you, but this is what it's going to have to look like. All right, so amazing. Love that for you. All right, I saw one in the chat box. Is it okay to educate avoidance about attachment styles? I wouldn't recommend it. I would not recommend it. To be honest, I wouldn't recommend educating anybody about anything that they don't invite your permission for. It's like unsolicited advice. Unsolicited advice, pardon my French, is fucking annoying. All right? Notice why I don't give you guys advice. It's annoying, unless you ask me for it. People don't want unsolicited advice. I got a new baby. I hesitate to tell people that I got a baby because everyone's got something to say about what to do and how to feed and what time. It's like, shut up. I didn't ask you. What if I'm doing it in a brilliant way? But to me, like that advice, it's just lazy. It's so lazy. So I get that you want this avoidant person to, I got on for a little rant there. I get that you want this person to educate themselves so they can become more secure. I invite you to look at, are you trying to fix that person? Are you trying to control them in some way? Is that your anxious attachment style reacting right now? Because it'd be much more courageous of you to get curious about what it's like for them rather than to educate them. All right? Tell you, if any of you tried to educate me on something that I didn't ask for your education, I'd probably say, no, thank you. That'd be my invitation for you. All right, we'll do a couple more and then we'll hop off. He ghosts me since month 1. We are ex-situationship and I did a mental drunk breakdown telling him I love him and that he treated you badly. Since that moment, he doesn't want to see me. I miss him. Of course you miss him. You care about him. My question for you is, what's the big intention here? What are you after? You said he's a situationship. You talked about ghosting. What kind of what kind of relationship dynamic are you looking for? You put your attention on that, and suddenly you're going to give yourself permission to miss him, but also not want to be with him. To miss him, but also create space for the kind of relationship that you want. But you got to be clear about what works for you. You might not be fed up enough there, I think. It's okay, by the way, to not get fed up enough. It's like, I'm not fed up. It's like, fine. I got a coach, and we were having this conversation, and I was like frustrated and angry and about people, and just like, just blaming everybody for shit. And this coach goes, okay, great. Do you want some coaching? And I was like, no, I want to sit in this. It's like, okay, great. Give me a call when you want coaching. It's like, you don't have to be fed up. It's optional. But notice when you complain about something that you're not truly fed up with. That is a vicious circle to be in. When I keep saying the same story over and over again, it's like, okay, are you obsessed with the story maybe? Or are you truly fed up? You might be just liking telling this story. You might get something out of it. I know it might be hard to imagine that you could get something out of your complaints, but you definitely do. Otherwise, you wouldn't keep complaining about the same thing. I've never been in a relationship at 28. I'm scared to be too picky, but I don't want to lower my standards. Got it. I recommend relationship coaching. Come join me. Hop on a discovery call. I got 2 programs starting in the next few weeks. One, for the first time ever, I'm operating in the European time zone. I know it's not you guys, but I'll tell that to the European people. But the other one is for North American time zone. So you got a pattern. Start to look at. Get yourself a structure. Get yourself support. You guys, I talked earlier at the beginning of this call about how we're operating in this automatic dialogue. It's just repeating. We're reacting to things. This happens and this happens. This happens, cause and effect. If that's happening, get yourself a structure, because we're human beings that are so often just operating by default. The structure helps us get out of that default. So I invite you to take that on. You can still be, like, I wouldn't say picky, but intentional. Let's have you be intentional. Let's have you not lower your standards. But if you've never been in a relationship at 28, I would argue it's not about lowering your standards. There's a fear there for you. There's a fear about what would happen if you were actually to have that relationship. And by being too picky, you let yourself off the hook from actually getting in the game. Get in the game. Get out of the stands. This is too important. 28 is a great time to realize that. My husband keeps saying that I always defend my opinions to be right and win every argument. However, I consciously don't recall having that thought while we discuss and argue. How do I take this? Well, when my wife tells me something, I listen to it, even if it's something I don't like, even if it's something I don't agree with, because my wife sees me more than anybody. So even though she might have a biased perspective, she does have a perspective. So your husband might be onto something. There might be some validity to that you're unaware of. So I would look at that. Even if he's not correct in that, I would start to look at, where am I fighting to be right with my husband? Where am I, not listening and checking out and trying to prove a point? There's something for you to get there. And it's worth looking at, because what's going to be right there is you're going to want to even defend yourself to that. Okay? Defensiveness is not going to get you anywhere. Defensiveness is a form of insecurity, you guys. All right, let's go a couple more. You guys are amazing. Was the cat again? I saw another cat thing. I'm going to check the question box. Was actually a dating therapist, says he's back up to protecting me from him. Projecting? ? Sorry, you guys got to write clear questions. I can't answer questions I don't understand. Someone just said really with a question mark. Do we love ourselves as much as our partner? I don't know. You tell me. Are you asking if you should? Charlotte says, it's not like you're healed. Sorry, Charlotte, I don't know what you're talking about. Jan, is it too much or too much pressure to ask for a date instead of hanging out? When they proposed hanging out in the first place, I honestly felt a lot of shame by messaging them. Okay, so there's something out of integrity for you there. It's like, you don't want to just hang out. You want there to be a date. You want this to be for something. Okay, stand by that. Now, here's the thing about standing by what works for us. Without being ultimatum-y, by the way, without being like aggressive. It's like, okay, I'm happy to go on a date with you, but I don't want to just hang out. And if that person's like, oh, you're too much or whatever, then it's like, okay, then maybe it's not that I'm too much. Maybe that's just we're up interested in different things. You know, it's the same thing I was telling you before about your job is to be you and see who likes that. Not try to make anybody like you. And we're trying to find out if that's too much pressure, you're getting into the I'm trying to make them like me thing. Versus like, I don't want to just hang out. Same for me. Like when I've broken up with someone and they've been like, let's be friends. I'm like, I'm good. I got friends. That's not what I'm here for. I was here with you for long-term commitment. That didn't work out. Let's not pussyfoot around the thing. Let's actually have what we want. So that's my invitation there. If he's recently divorced and honest about not being ready for a relationship, yet says, I need to see where I'm going, I respect his honesty and know we have a mutual connection. What should I do? I've actually been in your situation, minus the divorce. No, actually, I have been in your situation. So that's great that you are receiving the honesty and going like, this was a hard thing for this person to say. They're telling me what they're available for. Thank you for that. But I hear it's not what you're wanting. You're wanting to actually have a future with this person, a trajectory towards a deeper level of connection. So I would invite you to get into that conversation a little bit. You know, he says, I need to see where I'm going. Well, personally, I don't like the whole idea of like, let's see where I'm going, because it's very like unintentional. I would ask, where do you want to be going? You know, what's your intention for a relationship, for yourself? Like maybe they're dealing with this breakup and they want to make sure they move forward in a productive way. That's a beautiful thing. You know, I told someone I was dating that once and they were like, sorry, then I'm not interested in you. And I was like, wow, okay. Well, I was open to finding a common ground, but it sounds like it's your way or the highway. And then we're definitely not a match. I won't be with anybody who's like, it's your way or the highway. And so something I'm looking to engage more couples in is the skill of negotiating with each other. So I would invite you to see if you can find a middle ground together where you can still head towards the direction you want, which sounds like is committed relationship. And this person can also look at, okay, I want to fully complete my past with my ex. I don't want to drag that around with you. So what would that look like for us to keep moving forward, but not have it be just kind of random and whatever? That's my invitation to you. All right, I'm getting tired of hearing myself talk, so I'm going to do one more and then hop off. You don't know what it's like to watch yourself talk on, like I watch myself on all these things. I don't rewatch these, but just seeing my own content, and I used to edit my own videos. It's like, oh my God, I get tired of my own voice sometimes. I was in, so that's a comment for someone else. All right, I'm seeing some, oh great, they're flying in. When we both have anxious attachment style, but in conflict we both shut down for a few days, how to connect and feel disconnected? I love this question. We're both shutting down when we're in conflict. So you might have heard this, the Gottman Institute, they call it bids for affection. So you want to look at what bids could be for you. So bids is like extending a hand out. You know, for example, my wife is a recovering avoidant attacher. I'm a recovering anxious attacher. And so one of her bids for affection, when she feels like saying sorry is too big of a jump, is she'll literally just ask me if I want some water or a coffee. Now, what she's really saying in those moments is, I want to say sorry, but that feels like too much of a jump, so I'm trying to reconnect with this little way. For me, I do a similar thing, where I ask her, you know, are you hungry, or, you know, can I refill your water? Or I just literally sit next to her, and I look at her, and we just kind of smile, because we were laughing at how silly it is that we're in that fight or whatever. And suddenly we're reconnected. So you want to keep it simple. You don't need a big speech. It doesn't have to be this huge thing. What would be a version of you extending out your hand, offering an opportunity of reconnection? But think of something small. Maybe it's something that that person likes, or, you know, just a version of you. Could be even something physical affection, depending on your guys' love language. Maybe it's just going over there and just putting your arm around that person and just looking at them and going, okay, yeah, my bad. and all of a sudden you're reconnected again. So it doesn't have to be complicated, but it's just the courage to get out of our own way. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave it there. You're so amazing. If you're curious about coaching, sign up for a discovery call with my team. My team is amazing. You know, I'd love to be doing all the discovery calls myself, but if I was doing that, I wouldn't have time to coach people. All right, so you get to speak with my team to give you the details of what I do and my program. Got a couple programs coming up. All my programs are intensive programs. You know, they last, the ones I'm coming up are 14 weeks long. I don't do one-off coaching. You know, this is my chance to give you guys a bit of, coaching, a bit of advice here. But often the things we're dealing with are much deeper. You know, we're dealing with the symptom rather than the source. And that to me is what coaching is all about. It's supporting you with the structure to deal with the source of your challenge. So if you're curious about that, link in bio for support. We're also doing a men's group tomorrow around this time. So join us for that in the community page. Sending you love, you guys. Thank you so much for your questions. You're all amazing. Talk to you soon. Bye.